What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new HN Star Trek video, maybe the last one for a little while, as this one is going to be explaining the ending of Star Trek Discovery's Season 1 finale, Episode 15, Will You Take My Hand, and what that all means for Season 2. That's right, Discovery's first season, for all of its controversy, came to an end last night in a, metaphorically, if not literally, explosive episode, which saw the Discovery crew bring an end to the Klingon War and save the Federation. How? Well, that's something that confused followers of the show who actually have been watching the show, but if you've been keeping up via recaps like ours or elsewhere, you might have been a little more confused by it all, but fear not, that's where we come in. Well, the initial plan set forth by the Federation was actually the brainchild of the Mirror Universe's version of Philippa Georgiou, aka the Terran Emperor, under the guise that the Discovery was mapping Kronos with sensor drones. In her home universe, though, Georgiou destroyed the Klingon homeworld of Kronos by detonating a hydrogen bomb in the planet's expansive network of active volcanoes, causing planet-wide devastation. The Federation, facing the annihilation of Earth, was willing to do that again, basically committing genocide to survive. Unable to accept this moral no-win scenario, Burnham managed to convince Starfleet and Admiral Cornwell that giving into their fears and abandoning their principles would basically compromise everything they stood for, and devised a risky alternative. Burnham played on the seemingly cold Georgiou's fondness for her universe's version of Michael by setting her up with a tough choice: kill her or give her the bomb. Georgiou eventually relented and went free as part of her deal with Starfleet, which Michael honored. It's unclear how Terran Georgiou is going to be involved in future seasons of Star Trek Discovery, but her existence in this new universe is extremely interesting. I mean, I'm really glad they didn't kill her off. I was already bummed about Jason Isaacs leaving the show. Michelle Yeoh being there and sticking around is definitely for the show's benefit, and she sets up kind of as a recurring villain/anti-hero for Burnham and the Discovery crew next year. I mean, maybe kind of in the vein of Q from Next Generation. So, what do they do with the detonator? Well, buckle up. This is a big part of the finale. They choose to give the big red button to L'Rell, the Klingon Vox buddy and follower of T'Kuvma. Knowing that Klingons only respond to strength, L'Rell uses the detonator as basically the ultimate strength, uniting the warring clans under her rule, or else. You might be sitting there wondering why the Klingons would go along with that, and honestly, we don't really get an explanation as to that point, but I think it goes back to their behavior and their psychology in general. It's been well established in the franchise and specifically addressed at length in this series that they just respond to strength, and literally having that detonator, the ability to destroy their home planet at will, basically makes L'Rell the strongest person, the strongest Klingon I should say, around. What I'm more interested in is what the T'Kuvma-inspired, L'Rell-ruled Klingon Empire looks like, and what role it'll play in future seasons. And I've got a gut feeling that we haven't seen the last of that detonator. It's literally a bomb sitting at the center of Kronos. Something tells me that's going to come up. We know the Klingon Empire will probably play at least a little bit of a role in future seasons because of Tyler Volk. As of last episode, he's come to a sort of balance between his two halves, with the memories of both characters under Tyler's personality. Despite making up with Burnham during this episode, Tyler Volk ultimately makes the decision to go with L'Rell in her quest to unite the clans, hoping to serve as a bridge between humans and Klingons as he's from both worlds but doesn't really fit in either. With the war ended, the remaining Discovery crew returns to Earth, lauded as heroes of the Federation and all receiving medals, while Burnham, now fully reinstated for her actions as a commander, gives a speech about the values of Starfleet, something they were really harping on in this episode. Overall, the episode as a whole, the diplomatic resolution, urging Starfleet not to abandon their values even with their backs against the wall and facing certain annihilation, and the speech about values at the end, it all seems to be basically an on-the-nose nod towards the complaints from some fans about the series not being quote-unquote Star Trek enough. The season comes to a close with the Discovery on a relatively inauspicious voyage, traveling with Sarek to Vulcan to pick up the ship's new captain. That's right, Saru isn't going to be the captain for the future, he's just the acting captain on this final voyage. But the new captain will be a Vulcan, which will be an interesting dynamic. But the season couldn't end without a major cliffhanger, could it? After just initiating warp to Vulcan, the ship receives a distress call from none other than the NCC 1701, the USS Enterprise itself. This includes a hail from Captain Christopher Pike, the second captain of the Enterprise who took over from the first captain, Robert April, several years before the events of Discovery. He's also the man that Kirk takes over from some 10 years after the events of Discovery. The Discovery drops out of warp, greeted by the still shiny, relatively brand new, just 12-year-old Enterprise, which we see in sleek new CG rendered glory, albeit still strongly resembling its original series design. Believe it or not, this isn't just a one-off Easter egg for this cliffhanger ending, and according to series executive producer Alex Kurtzman, the Enterprise will have a part to play next season. It's not going to be a huge one, it's probably not going to be a main recurring one, and it might just be a guest spot on the premiere, but it will have a part to play. Obviously, this is at least a really cool Easter egg, and at best, a pretty huge nod for the fans, especially with that classic look the ship is sporting. But beyond that, there's a pretty huge connection that we might see explored. Mr. Spock. If you've been following the series, you know that Michael Burnham, the series' main character, is Spock's adopted sister, taken in by his Vulcan father Sarek and his human wife Amanda. While Spock is only directly referenced in one episode of the show, he might show up if the Enterprise and her crew does make a physical appearance, as he was the science officer to Captain Pike on the Enterprise and was incredibly loyal to his captain. Kurtzman said that the Enterprise playing a role doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be seeing Spock in the flesh, but he did say that the crossover does provide an opportunity to clear up some connectivity issues between Discovery and the rest of the Prime timeline. For example, why Spock's sister has never before been mentioned. Let us know what you thought of Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery and where you hope the series goes from here, but that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. For even more content, check out our website at hybridnetworkyt.com, and if you love HN and want to take your support to the next level, consider donating to us on Patreon as we strive to bring you the best content possible. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time